You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek from Ocala, Florida.
And I am Allison Rehnborg in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and you are listening to the monthly Equine Affaire episode of Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for July 17th. This episode is brought to you by Equine Affaire. Good morning, Horse World.
It's the third Thursday of the month. That means it's time for the Equine Affaire episode, North America's premier equine expo and equestrian gathering.
Well, it's that time again to start thinking about Equine Affaire, and I know you have a fun show planned for today. What's up on today's show, Allison?
Yeah, we have a really good show. We are going to talk about all things trailers. So we're going to have Brad Heath with Double D. I know he's a favorite of yours. Brad with Double D Trailers is going to come on and talk to us about horse trailers and maintenance and all that good stuff, everything that you should have done last spring and you haven't gotten to yet. Now this is your cue. And we're especially excited because me too. And we're especially excited because Double D is sponsoring our courtesy shopping bag in Massachusetts this fall. So definitely come to Massachusetts and you can get your courtesy shopping bag with all your goodies. And then our other guest is another favorite of Glenn's and mine. Jason Irwin from up in Canada is going to come and talk to us about loading problem horses into trailers. So everything's on wheels today.
Jason and his wife Bronwyn do the circuit and do a lot of clinics and things, and they're just super nice people. You know, I realize that's kind of a cliche. They're from Canada, right? But they are just super nice people. And, you know, they're just kind of people you want to go have dinner with and hang out with, you know? So that's the way I felt about him when I met them first time in Equine Affaire.
Yeah, they're awesome. We've had them a few times over the years, and Jason even won our Educator Award back in 2023, the last time they were with us. So they're great people, and they're great trainers. So if you want to learn about general horsemanship or trailer loading, you go see Jason. If you want to learn about pole bending and I want to say some other speed events, you talk to Bronwyn because she is one of those rocket riders. She rides all the fast stuff.
And has a really cool Palomino. Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard you guys have a brand new contest coming up. You must be in charge of this because you tend to do the contests.
I am. I have a new project, a new pet project. So this is I'm really excited to get to share this with the audience because I think we might have some guests who would want to enter. It's the My Equine Affaire Moment contest. And I'm torn between telling you what to do to enter first or telling you the prize first. What do you think I should say?
I want to know the prize first, and then that tells me whether I'm interested in entering. So that's the way I work.
Give you the carrot before I give you the stick.
I need the carrot.
So, the winner of the My Equine Affaire Moment contest wins a pair of 4-day Equine Affaire tickets to Massachusetts, 2 tickets to one night of Fantasia, and, drumroll please, a 4-night hotel stay at the Holiday Inn Express in Springfield.
Oh, wow.
So you kind of get your whole weekend getaway to Massachusetts as your grand prize.
Okay, now I'm interested. How do I win?
Okay. So the way you win is you think of a way in which attending Equine Affaire, and this can be either Ohio or Mass, so it can be either event, or California or Kentucky if you went to one of those and that really impacted you. But you think of a way in which attending one of our events has impacted your life for the better. So maybe you met your future spouse there. Maybe you saw something that you never even dreamed of as a career and you realized, oh, I could make a living being a horse podcast host, whatever it is.
Maybe you adopted a horse that turned out to be your life horse.
Exactly. Maybe you won a competition. Maybe you
met me.
You met Glenn and he changed your life forever. Something like that. And then you tell us the story.
I would use something better than that if you plan on winning and just going to say.
No, it should be How I Met Glenn Hubbard. And so you tell the story. So that can be audio. You can record like a voicemail or a podcast or whatever of yourself. You can do a video if you want to do selfie video. You can write an essay, which would be probably how I would do it. You can send photos. Just make sure you tell it in a really captivating way. And then you submit it online, and we'll put the link in our show notes. It's also linked on the website, obviously. And then we will read all your stories or watch your stories or listen to your stories, and we'll pick the winner.
I want to be a judge in that one.
You know, I think that's a good idea.
I would love to be a judge in that one. That'd be so much fun. That'd be fun.
I'm going to tell Kogi.
Okay, I'll help with that one if you need help.
Okay, if you mean it, then...
Oh, no,
okay.
I mean it. No, I'd love to judge it. I think I love that kind of stuff. Hey, you know, I'm looking at if you go, we'll put the link to the show note in the show notes to how to go to do this contest. But the first picture I saw is a guy kneeling, which is obviously at Fantasia. He's kneeling in the ring with the cowgirl there holding the horse and proposing. Did that happen at Massachusetts one year?
No, it happened in Ohio. This is from this spring.
Oh, it's from this spring. I didn't know about this one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I got to tell a story because it's super cute.
I mean,
so
nothing like getting in front of 1,000 people to propose and hope she says yes. I mean, that's like,
right? Pressure's on. So we had an act in Fantasia this spring, which was Steve Lantfit, and he had a herd of cowgirls with him, like 2 or 3 cowgirls, and they were working cattle during Fantasia. And so it was really fun. He was doing a cutting demonstration, and it was pretty exciting, and it got real country, real Western. And then I want to say this was Saturday night. All of a sudden, after Steve did his fancy footwork, he turned it over and he said, "Okay, it's your show now." And I'm like, "What is happening?" And so me being the camera person with my husband, Ryan was also on camera. I was like, "Okay, we got to figure out what's going on." And then one of the cowgirls, her boyfriend, came out and proposed to her in front of everybody. It was so cute.
Please say she said yes.
Well, you see her face in that picture.
Yeah.
Of course she said yes. It was adorable. They hugged and kissed. It was precious. And we got footage from, I think we were both up in the box. And I was like, gee, I hope Heather, who's my other videographer, was on the rail. And then I talked to her later that night, and she said, "No, I got him from the back." And I'm like, crap. And then, no, this is good. Then I talked to Olivia, who was my intern, and she was at the gate, and she got it all perfectly, like the right angle, everything. So intern for the win, Liv for the win. She got the video.
Oh, this is a great picture, too.
This is from Winslow, our wonderful photographer. So yeah, if you got engaged at Equine Affaire, you got a story right there.
Yeah, that's going to be a contender for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put the link to that in our show notes today.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's open as of ticket sales, which by the time this airs, tickets will have been on sale through August 31st. So go get your story in, and just make sure you have a good story. It doesn't have to be perfect in terms of delivery, but it's a good story. Tell it to us. And then I'm going to see if I can get Glenn to be a judge.
And then we'll get you on the show after that too. So yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, that is the other thing we're going to have. If your story is selected, we're going to print it or reproduce it somehow in the program. Obviously, if it's a video or a audio thing, it'll be a little bit different. It'll be in the program. We'll feature you on our social media. Yes, we will have you on the podcast. We'll put it on the website, so you'll get a little publicity along with your grand prize. So it's really exciting.
All right. Sounds terrific. And I do know, before we get to our first guest, Brad from Double D Trailers, that you guys have made that Western Edge has made some improvements on the app and getting tickets and stuff, right?
Yes. So tickets to Equine Affaire and Fantasia are on sale now. So go listen to the show and then go get your tickets. And we are working with the same app that we worked with last year. So Western Edge, but big butt here, Percheron-sized butt. They have created a new app, a new and improved. So you'll need to go into Google Play or the Apple Store and download the new Western Edge app. It's a little black ticket with WE written on it. And so download the new app. You create a free account. You can buy your tickets. And the big improvement, I think, is that you can now access your tickets anytime through the app. So previously, they got emailed to you and they were not stored in the app. But this year, they will be in the app. So if you lose your email, if you never get it emailed to you, whatever, you can go back into the app, you can log in, and you can see your tickets right there.
Oh, that's much better.
It's so much better. We're so excited.
And that's Fantasia too?
Yes,
Okay.
Fantasia 2. And they've also made some other improvements in terms of navigating it. It'll be like an automatic validation and scan when you get there, too. We're going to have some cool beacons set up when you come in. So all you have to do is pull up your ticket and it'll get scanned. So it should be much easier, hassle-free convenience. And then, of course, everything else is going to be in the app that was there before. So the event program, when it's time, the maps, schedule, all that good stuff, and now your tickets too. So definitely download the new app. And we've got all the new instructions and links and all of that for that on our website. You just go to the press page, so equineaffaire.com/press, and you can see how to download the new app.
Very good. Well, Sentinel Extruded Feed is expertly formulated for performance horse health. Just ask champion equestrian Sharon White. She's focused on making her horses the best athletes they can be and says they perform extremely well on Sentinel Performance LS Extruded Feed. Sharon feeds it because, in her words, it just works. Sentinel Performance LS is a low-starch, low-sugar, nutrient-release formulation with high levels of quality fat and fiber. It's perfect for equine athletes competing in a variety of disciplines or any horse with elevated caloric, I cannot say that word, caloric needs. They need a lot of food. Visit sentinel.com/trusted to learn more about the performance horse feed trusted by champions like Sharon White. That's feedsentinel.com/trusted. Well, we now have a guest on that's familiar to the Horses in the Morning audience and should be very familiar to the Equine Affaire audience because they got to see him at Equine Affaire in Ohio. We all got to see him, and that's Brad Heath. He's the owner and head designer of Double D Trailers, and that's a manufacturer out of the Carolinas. Hey, Brad.
Good afternoon, Glenn and Allison. Thanks for having us again.
Well, I got to remind everybody that Brad did a trailer series with us almost 2 years ago now, and you can still find that at horseradionetwork.com/trailer. All the episodes are there. There's players there. You can go back and take a listen to all of that. And today we have you on because, well, we're very excited that you're going to be in Massachusetts coming up, right?
We are. Yeah, we've got some fun stuff planned for Massachusetts. We'll have one of our reverse loads set up there and giving away lots of books and bags and hopefully just talking to a lot of folks and answering questions. So we're excited.
I want to talk to you about a reverse load. So that's the one where you come in the side and you're pointing backwards.
Correct. Away from the direction of travel.
Okay. And we've read studies now that have shown that people or horses, I don't know about the people, but the horses like it better that way. What's your thoughts?
The first one of those that I ever built, it was in 2013, so it's been a minute now, but I remember the day Kathleen Campbell Walker, she's an attorney out of Texas, she reached out and she says, "Hey, I love you guys, your rear swing out tack, but I want a reverse load." And we were talking on the phone and I said, "A reverse who? What is that? I've never heard of a reverse." And so she starts explaining to me the pros of it and how there had been some independent research studies and horses tend to haul with less stress in a rear facing configuration. That's when we sort of rolled up our sleeves. Reverse loads have been around for many years. We're certainly not the first one that have ever built one. But the ones that I found, and there were quite a few, they were all littered with some sort of safety issue, either for the horse or the handler. Like when you're loading the last horse, there was nowhere for the handler to go, or even for the last horse, there was no walkout. They had to back the horse out. And I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense. So we were able to actually get a patent with the U.S. Patent Office on our particular design. And it sort of solved a lot of the safety issues associated with some of the others. But wow, I can't tell you. We've had so many clients. Reverse loads are probably 80% of our sales now.
Really?
So many clients they've reached out to us and said, "Hey, I have a straight load. I have a slant load. I have a horse that is very difficult to load. It takes me an hour. I've got one that's a difficult hauler. Every time we arrive from point A to point B, the horse is all sweaty." So just lots of problematic horses that have had some sort of traumatic experience that makes them, have that fight or flight instinct. I don't want to go in that trailer. And so quite a few folks have gone out on the limb, fingers crossed, spent a lot of money with us and hoping that the reverse load really helped those situations. And knock on wood, we continue to get testimonial after testimonial, review videos. We had one from Penny Barrick. In fact, I hugged her neck at the Equine Affaire in Ohio. She came by and she had sent a video years ago of her horse, and her video said it used to take us 30, 45 minutes to load this horse, and now watch him. And he just walked right in the trailer. So apparently the horses do like it. They tend to haul with less stress. And, I don't know that it's rocket science. We just have wide open spaces for them to load and unload. Lots of light, lots of airflow, reduces claustrophobia. Give them enough room to lower their head while they're traveling. And yeah, they seem to be very happy with that.
Do they stick their heads out the back? Like, is that how, just have this picture of the head sticking out the back.
With our layout, I don't do a reverse straight load for the simple fact that the horse's head is right at the back doors of the trailer. There are a few folks that do that, but wow, you get rear-ended, which is a fairly common thing.
One of the concerns I had.
Yeah. You get rear-ended. Everybody's looking at their cell phone while they're driving, especially in Wilmington here, but there's just not a lot of protection back there for the horse. I think it's a death trap, in my opinion. The reverse load that we make, it is a slant, and is actually a combination, forward and or reverse. You can do either one. And we have that safe tack compartment on the back, another thing that's exclusive to us. And it acts truly as a crumple zone. It's built out of metal. It's not aluminum, so it's very strong. And we've had plenty of folks to get in accidents over the years, and that back horse is protected in that manner. So seems to work very well.
That's interesting. That was not the conversation we were going to have today, but you brought it up, so I wanted to. I just find it fascinating. So we are going to talk a little bit about maintenance and things that people should be thinking about as they're hauling over the summer. And let's face it, Brad, you and I have had this conversation before. 90% of us didn't do what we were supposed to do in the spring. So now that we haven't done what we were supposed to do in the spring, what should we be doing now?
Wow. I mean, it's riding. Yeah, it's time to get rolling. If it's a living quarter trailer, that's a whole.
Yeah, let's skip that for now.
Yeah, it's another whole ball of wax from air conditionings and refrigerators, hot water heaters.
Well, and your broken water pipes from not doing your winterizing before the winter got here. So
dust on the refrigerator vents and it won't bite. So go to an RV store and let them winterize for you. And in the spring, let them check everything out. And then you don't have to worry about it. That's my advice for LQs. For the non-living quarter portion, I think this would be applicable to most any trailer that's out there. If you are a trailer owner and one that likes to do everything yourself, you don't want to waste the time or money to take it into a dealership or something like that. We'll start with the roofs. The first thing I would look for, does the roof leak? What type of sealants are up there? Grab a ladder, crawl on top, look at it, make sure that it's sound. If it's not, get it fixed. You don't want to have to deal with that and damage that can happen from not repairing it. Windows tend to stick. Doors, latches, camper door latches, divider latches, all of those things as they sit through the winter or any longer period of time and are not used. It's like anything else. When you don't use it, it just falls apart for a reason. They tend to last better when they're used. So open and close all of that. And lubrication is your friend. We had someone contact us recently and they said, hey, I've got our trailer. Our kids are using it. We haven't used it in a couple, 3 years. And we think the locks are messed up on the door because we can put the key in it. And we've turned it so hard that we bent the key. And I said, yeah, you need to lubricate it. Go buy a jar of Vaseline, dip the key in the Vaseline, stick it in the lock and work it in and out and call me back. And of course, they never call back because it worked very well. So definitely go around the trailer with penetrating oil, lube, all the locks, all the hinges, every divider, every latch, every window, and life will be much better. It just works so much better that way.
And what do you recommend to use? Just
WD-40 and duct tape. That fixes everything.
I was going to say the trusty standbys of every horse person.
Yeah. Between Vaseline and WD-40, I mean, you can really get a lot done for sure.
We had last week on the endurance show, we had a lady who drove to Tevis, and it was her first time doing Tevis, which is a big deal, right? It's like the Super Bowl of endurance riding. And she went from Canada, from Alberta, 3 days to drive down there. And they had their trailer in the shop, and they had the bearings greased. And they thought they took it apart and greased the bearings. What they found out later, when their bearings overheated and they basically were sitting along the highway in Nevada and had to get their bearings redone on the highway, was that they didn't. They just squirted more grease in and never took the wheels off.
That's right. They had what's called an Easy Lube, probably manufactured by Dexter.
Yep.
It has a grease zerk. You pop off the little rubber grommet on the cap, stick a grease gun on it, pop a couple of pumps in it, and yeah, life is good. But on those annual inspections like that, again, if you're doing it yourself and you know what you're doing, that's fine. If you have to ask someone how to do it and that type thing, you probably shouldn't be doing it to begin with.
And they brought it in, so even if you bring it in, tell them exactly what you want done.
Yeah, pull the wheel, pull the hub, and visually inspect the bearing and repack that by hand, and if need be, replace it. So it sounds like that the shop probably just did the lazy person version of it and rolled on and more than likely charged a bunch of money for not much of anything, which is unfortunate. It happens.
Yeah. Communication is huge. Like I have discovered growing up as a person trying to take over and do all the things that I'm supposed to do, maintain my car, things like that like you have to tell people what you want. You can't just say, here's my car, you do the thing, because they won't do it. And I've learned that the hard way. So tell them what you want. And go into detail. Be the Karen, I guess, if you have to. Because, I mean, with a horse trailer, you can't mess around because then you end up on the side of the road in Nevada.
With your horse.
In the heat, stuck with horses. Maybe you have kids in the back seat, too, and everybody's not happy. Who knows?
Right. And you've just been driving for 24 hours to get to that point.
Yeah. Are we there yet?
Of course, while we're in the wheel area, checking the tires, to see what the condition of the tires are.
I was going to say probably three. I think the three biggest failures that we see are, of course, bearings, wheels, meaning the tire itself, not necessarily the rim, but the tire, and the battery on the trailer. So a lot of folks don't really understand the tire. Most of the manufacturers of those recommend changing them every 4 to 5 years. And they don't wear out, they age out. I have never seen a horse trailer where the tread on the tire is just worn out because it has so many miles on it, unless the axle's crooked and it wears improperly. But they'll typically age out. And so in order to just not be stuck beside the road, put new tires on it about every 4 years. And I think your chances of survival, your chances of success and not having that blowout are going to be much greater. And then the other thing, check the tire pressure. It's a big deal. Over the years in farming and such, I don't know that I recognized how big of a deal that it is. But what happens, I've heard, is when you run a tire, particularly an ST, which stands for special trailer. That's what majority of tires are that are on horse trailers. They have a stiffer sidewall suspension made for top heavy loads like campers and obviously horse trailers. But when you run that tire with a lower pressure than what is written on the sidewall of the tire, it'll tell you. It says it right there. Max PSI cold, 65 pounds. Fill it up to 65 pounds. What happens if you run it at 50 pounds is excess heat builds in the tire. And when that happens, heat and rubber, they don't play really nice together. And so the rubber gets a little weakened. Maybe it doesn't blow out. Maybe the next trip you air it back to 65. But sooner rather than later, the tire is now weaker than what it was originally if you'd kept the pressure correct. Same thing for overinflated. So it is important. Keep the pressures checked before, every trip like that. And as far as the battery, so a majority of the trailers that we sell, most clients will add an auxiliary battery. It's just a 12 volt, looks like a car battery on the trailer. You can run inside lights and fans and camera systems and things like that. As they sit through the entire year, guess what? When you get ready to use your trailer in the spring, and if it has an electric jack of any sort or a hydraulic jack, and the battery's dead or weak, it's just not going to work. I just talked to a client yesterday, same thing. She says, hey, I'm getting ready to use my trailer, and the hydraulic jack, the motor seems really, really weak on it. It would go down, but it won't go back up. I think something's wrong with the jack. And I said, you just need to go back, buy a battery charger and charge the battery. Problem solved.
Yeah.
And so that's what she did, and a 24-hour trickle charger, and it takes care of it. So as the trailer sits through the winter months or anytime not in use, I definitely recommend a battery tender. You can purchase those from Walmart, Advance Auto. They're 15, 20 bucks. Keep it plugged in, keep the clamps on the battery. That way, when you're ready to go, life is good. You don't have to worry about it. When those batteries do get really weak and depleted, it shortens the life of the battery. So it's certainly not healthy for it. And then another big misconception, folks tend to think, well, if the battery's dead, I just plug the truck into it and, it'll charge it right back up. That is not the case. The wire that goes from the charging system on your truck to your truck battery is a really huge in diameter wire. The wire that goes from the battery of your truck all the way to the back end to the trailer plug is a really small diameter wire. And so it carries not nearly enough amps to take a kerplunked battery on a horse trailer and bring it back to life. It's just not there. It's more for maintenance than anything. So that's my spill on batteries. I'll hush about that.
And do you talk about all of this in your book, The Ultimate Horse Trailer Resource?
The honest to goodness truth, I don't know that I went in that much detail, particularly on the battery side, but certainly for tires and the bearings, things like that, we definitely cover it.
Yeah. So if you want Brad Heath in your pocket, which I have been talking to you, 20 minutes now, and I'm like, I want Brad Heath in my pocket if I'm going trailer shopping or hauling my horse, then the next best thing is to get The Honest to Goodness Truth About Horse Trailers by Brad Heath, because you wrote a book about all your knowledge.
Yeah, I've been doing it forever and a day. We have over 400 pages of content on our website, and trying to find stuff on a website, it's like, what article do I go to? And you scroll and scroll and you scroll, and then folks would call us, and we're on the phone for an hour and a half, sort of regurgitating everything that's on the site. And Brooke, my oldest daughter, who is fantastic and our marketing manager, and she's just a huge asset for us, she said, Dad, why don't you just write a book and we'll start passing that out to everyone, and then they'll have the information. I'm like, that's a fantastic idea. Why didn't I think of that? So,
and they went like hotcakes because you were giving them out at Equine Affaire in Ohio. And I happen to know, I think I saw one of our auditors post and say, I wasn't able to make it to the event. I want one of those books. And so somebody shipped one to her because it was such a hot commodity.
Yeah, I haven't made enough royalties off the book to retire yet. I think on Amazon, the digital version is like 99 cents or $1.99, and the printed version is $9 or $10 just to cover the cost. But if you go on our website, doubledtrailers.com/book, there's a quick little form there. You can say, hey, I want one of your books, and we'll just mail you one for free. So don't even waste the money to buy it. We'd love to just send you one.
Although I will say, Allison,
royalties.
That's right. That's why I'm not selling any books. We're giving them all away.
Yeah. Sorry, Glenn. What?
Well, I will say that they let anybody be on the back cover, though. There's this loser on there.
On the back cover.
Yeah, this Glenn Hebert guy's on there. I don't know.
Oh man, I don't know if I trust him.
Yeah, I wouldn't
He
either.
read the book.
I got to look at the book before everybody else did, and I think we had done our series by that point. So it was interesting for me to read the book, and then, after doing the series with you, it basically expanded upon everything we had talked about in more detail.
Right.
So this really does go into a lot of everything, and, tips and tricks and, what to look for, and, aluminum versus steel, all of that stuff is in here. So, definitely this book is worth having, even if you're not buying one today, but, you think you might in the next 10 years, get the book. It can't hurt. And he'll send you one for free. So why not?
Well, he'll send you one, or you can come to Equine Affaire in Massachusetts because Brad will be there. He'll be there with are you bringing a reverse load?
We'll have a reverse load, and I'll be sitting there grinning from ear to ear with an ink pen in my hand. So I'd love to sign your book as well while we're there.
Yeah. You'll have 12,000 copies with him there, and he'll be handing those out. And then he's also Double D.
He just had a heart attack when you said 12,000 copies. He just had a heart attack.
Well, that's what he said. Am I wrong? How many are there?
Hey, that's what Hannah told us to send. So,
then it's Brooke that had a heart attack.
Yeah, if that's not correct, we're just going to throw Hannah under the bus. She's not here to defend herself.
All right. Well, he's going to have a trailer load of books. There we go, to give away.
That's right.
And Double D Trailers, I'm excited to share, is the sponsor of our courtesy shopping bag in Massachusetts.
You haven't had those all the time, have you? The shopping bags?
No, it's been a few years. So I'm very excited. Everybody loves those shopping bags, and we put them at stands at all the major entrances. So you guys, you're going to have fancy bags from Double D Trailers to put all your goodies in.
Yeah, we're excited. It'll be a fun time for sure.
Well, Brad, thank you for joining us. It's doubledtrailers.com. You're based out of the Carolinas, but you sell trailers all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you live. But definitely you want to get a hold of Brad when you're looking at putting your trailer together and what design you want. Brad will talk you through the whole thing. He's great at that, and he may talk to you about some things you hadn't thought about. So trust the guy who builds them all the time for people. It's doubledtrailers.com, and as we said, you'll see him in Massachusetts. Thanks, Brad.
I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.
50-pound feed bags, bulky supplement tubs, and gallon fly spray refills. No problem. At Chewy, every order over $49 ships free, so you can stock up on all of your horse's favorites without the heavy lifting. We love that. Order online or in the app and let Chewy deliver everything you need fast and free right to your barn so you can spend more time with your horse. Start shopping now at chewy.com/equine. All right, and our next guest is Mr. Jason Irwin. He is a lifelong equestrian and horse trainer from Ontario, Canada. He and his wife Bronwyn are familiar faces at Equine Affaire. We always love having this couple there. They operate Jason and Bronwyn Irwin Horsemanship. They are both horse trainers. They do demos. They present at horse expos through North America. And they are also, this is really cool, they're the hosts of a TV show called The Horse Trainers on the Cowboy Channel Canada and RFD TV Canada. And they are in season 10 of their show. So if you love Jason and Bronwyn, you can check them out on TV. You can check them out on their social media. And you can meet them in person at Equine Affaire in Massachusetts this fall. But for now, we're talking to Jason. Help us welcome him to the show. All right. Well, our next guest, you guys have heard from him before. It's been a while, though, but let's welcome Jason Irwin of Jason and Bronwyn Irwin Horsemanship to the show. Hi, Jason.
How you guys doing?
We're doing great. How are you up there in Canada?
I am just up here living the dream as always.
Always. And how is your beautiful wife?
Still bossing me around, so nothing has changed.
Of course, yes. That's what we're here for. So we're really excited because you and Bronwyn are going to be joining us in Massachusetts this fall. And I think the last time we had you up there with us was 2023. Is that right?
Yep. It's been a couple years now, so we're sure looking forward to going back to that one. It's always such a good time there.
Yeah, and it's fairly close to you. How long do you guys travel to get to Mass?
I think we were like 8 or 9 hours, so it's not around the corner, but at the same time, it's pretty doable.
Yeah, that's real close. I don't know. So that's awesome. So you're coming, and one of the topics you're going to cover is loading horses into a trailer, and it's a huge topic, but it's also one close to my heart. One of my horses was not a trailer-friendly horse. I'll just put it that way. Actually, 2 of them were not trailer-friendly horses. So it's a huge pain point. What's your theory on trailer loading? How do we fix that problem?
Well, the point I always make when I'm doing a trailer loading demonstration is you really only need 2 things. So the 2 things you need are straight and forward. So it sounds easy in theory, but when you think about it, if you have a horse that doesn't want to load in a trailer, usually what you're going to see is one that plants its feet and won't move ahead. If you ask that horse a little bit more, that horse may rear up or possibly run backwards. But all 3 of those things are just lack of forward. The other thing you'll sometimes see is a horse that gets crooked. And a lot of times that's more the older horses that are a little bit clever and a little bit sneaky. They'll kind of walk up to the trailer as if they're about to go on. And then right before they go in the trailer, they'll kind of swing their body sideways so they're crooked. They can't get in. The owner will walk them away, reline them back up. They'll walk out the trailer again and then just kind of swing around and get crooked again. And sometimes it looks like it's by accident, but again, usually it's those horses that have kind of figured out the tricks of the trade, and they know that's kind of how they get away from needing to load in the trailer.
And that latter situation there describes perfectly my first pony. He knew how to get crooked. And then the earlier one about not going forward, that describes my other horse who had a horse loading problem. So apparently I just needed you about 20 years ago.
Yeah, you had 50% of each problem. But what we try to do with the trailer loading is I'll work with them on the ground away from the trailer first. So I want to practice having that horse move sideways so that I can get them straight if they do get crooked at the trailer. So in a nutshell, I work on quite a bit of side passing on the ground before I go to the trailer. And then the other thing I work on is putting a forward cue on them. So again, if you see a horse that doesn't want to load in a trailer, a lot of times what you'll see is somebody then try to force the horse in. But the problem with that is you kind of add more fuel to the fire, a lot of times the horse just reacts bigger and worse as you go along. Where if you have a cue on the horse that means step ahead, then you can at least kind of step on the gas pedal, and then you're going to present it to the horse in a way where you still sort of insist to get in the trailer, but they understand what you're doing. They don't just think you're out there giving them a hard time.
Well, and that whole situation about if you ask them and they don't know how to go forward or they refuse and they blow up, it can get really ugly really fast. So do you ever deal with horses that have had that trauma of, like, let's say they had an unsuccessful loading experience and they blew up and it went ugly, and then you're trying to rehab them? Like, how does that work? How do you get them out of that mindset of, oh my God, scary black box?
Well, actually, I thought that was funny, the part where you said, have you ever dealt with that before? Because actually, that's one of the main things that I probably do run into and do deal with. And actually, it was kind of funny. I used to do, I still do, but I would do a lot of clinics, and the clinic would be over and everyone would have done well, but then no one could actually get their horses on the trailers to go home. So then I basically have to go through and do a whole trailer loading clinic at the end of whatever the regular clinic was. So it became one of my go-to things. And I remember one day I did a clinic, I should say one weekend. So I did this clinic. It was really, really hot. And then the last couple minutes of the last day, one person mentioned their horse doesn't load. So I was wrapping up and I said, we're just going to deal with this one last horse that doesn't load, and then I think we're done for the day. And then somebody else raised their hand. They're like, my horse doesn't load. And someone else raised their hand. They said, my horse doesn't load. I'm like, well, who here has a horse that does not load? And every single person in the clinic put their hand up. So we turned it into a full-on, all we did was trailer loading till night after that, trying to get everybody on their way home. But anyways, with that one there, a lot of it really just comes back to finding a point that they can work at. So again, if you're at the trailer and the horse is blowing up, trying to teach them those cues while they're blowing up makes no sense, because again, all you're doing is making them react even more. So a lot of times we'll just take them away from the trailer, work on the groundwork that's the most necessary, and then when I feel like it's going really, really well, then I'll go ahead and load them from there. Now, having said that, if I was at home on my own time, I would probably work on the groundwork for a couple days first and then play with the trailer. But usually in a clinic setting, I will do the groundwork, maybe give them a 5-minute break, and then go ahead and start working out the trailer right away.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those situations where I was always terrified if I did get the horse loaded and we went somewhere and we got unloaded and we had our fun and we did all our stuff. And then it's like, what do you do if they won't load back up? So apparently the answer is you go to a trailer loading clinic and then you're always guaranteed to get the horse back in the trailer eventually. Because like you can't stay there forever.
Well, one thing that we try to do too that makes a big difference, a lot of times a person will work on trailer loading just long enough that the horse will kind of get in as long as everything's okay. But the problem with that is then sometimes you do get stranded somewhere because the horse doesn't really load that well. They just load well enough to kind of get by. And I'll kind of take that a little farther. So once a horse is loading pretty good in the trailer, I'll start practicing working them away from the trailer and then putting them in the trailer to take a little break. And then I'll take them off and work them around a bit and then put them back in the trailer to take a little break. And then over a period of time, the horse starts to look at the trailer as actually the place that he wants to be. And there's a great big difference dealing with one that wants to be in the trailer versus one that can sort of tolerate the trailer. So once you cross over into that next phase, then life gets really, really easy from there. And then I won't say you will never have a problem, but the odds are pretty darn slim.
And is there a type of trailer that you prefer to work with? Like, is there, like, for example, we just had Brad Heath on from Double D Trailers, and he sells the reverse load trailer, for example. But, there's all different kinds. There's the 2-horse bumper pull slant that I grew up with, that my horses, I don't really blame them that they didn't want to get into it. But then, of course, the big, huge, livestock trailers. What do you recommend using to teach that trailer reluctant horse to load on first?
Sure. Well, we have a few different trailers here, but the one that I'll usually pick if I'm doing trailer loading training is that we have a big aluminum livestock trailer. And I like that for a few different reasons. It's bright, it's airy. I don't think horses feel as much like they're stepping into a black hole with it. Another thing is it's long enough that I kind of like the ability to walk in and then turn them around and walk them off straight, because sometimes if you're dealing with one that's not good to load, once you get them in, then when you start trying to back them off, then that's just one more problem to deal with. So if one's a bad loader, I would rather just get them on, pet on them a little bit, and then turn them around and walk them off until they're comfortable. And then from there, I'll work on loading and then backing off after that. Having said that, though, being totally honest, although there is some differences, as the trainer, we have to deal with whatever a person has. So if somebody has a straight load versus a slant load, I might like one or the other a little bit better, but at the same time, it's not my trailer and it's not really my decision either. So I still have to get the horse where it loads properly. Maybe my one little point would be, a lot of people, everybody thinks of a trailer loading problem as a horse that won't go on a trailer, but another big problem is a lot of horses will go on and then immediately blow back out of the trailer again. And that's pretty darn common. And that one can sometimes be a little tough to fix if you're dealing with a straight load trailer, especially like a 2-horse straight load, because you'll walk them on and then they're there. And if that habit is really ingrained to blow back, even if you're doing all the right things, that horse is still going to probably try to blow back a little bit. And you can definitely fix it. But that same horse, if you had access to a bigger trailer, you could walk them on, turn them around. They wouldn't have the ability to blow off. And that would buy you just enough time. The horse had a chance to think things through and realize that he didn't really need to react to being in the trailer.
It's sort of explosive situation that you're talking about where, horses are more likely to blow up. You're dealing with those problem horses. How do you keep yourself as the handler, as the trainer, safe in those trailer situations?
Well, just because I have to deal with that problem quite a bit, I will say that I've had to get a little bit light on my feet and a little bit quick to stay out of the way. But having said that, I think my main point would be whatever problem you're having at the trailer, I should say whatever problem you're having in your day-to-day handling with your horse is going to be 10 times worse at the trailer. So just as an example, if your horse pushes you around away from the trailer, then once you add the trailer into the equation, it's probably going to be about 10 times worse. So in a situation like that, take whatever problem you're dealing with at the trailer and say, hey, how could I fix this somewhere else? Go iron it out there and then come back to the trailer. So ground manners, I think, are so important, because if you're dealing with one that's a little bit rude, once you go ahead and get back into that working with the trailer, those ground manners are just going to be so much worse. So I would really say get away from the trailer. Another little tip here is maybe have like a little wooden bridge or something like that. You can iron out a lot of the same things working over something like that. But then if they jump around in that, you're not in a close space, you're not confined, and your horse isn't going to get into nearly as much trouble. You can kind of work out some of those kinks, then go ahead, move to the trailer from there, and probably you're going to be in a lot better shape.
Yeah, that's a great idea, to have some kind of ramp or have a bridge or have something like that you could work on those same issues of stepping forward or backing up or whatever it is that you need. And then you're not adding a huge metal structure that, you can get pinned in or the horse can bang his head on. That's a great tip. I love that. I wish I'd had that. I wish I'd thought about that when I was dealing with those issues way back when. What do you think? Do you get a lot of questions about a particular aspect of trailer loading, or is there a misconception out there about the trailer issue that you run into a lot?
One of the ones that I get quite a bit is people think because their horse loaded one time 3 years ago, it knows how to load. So they'll say like, oh, I took a pail of grain, I walked to the trailer, my horse followed me in, so he's great. And it's like, well, if you've loaded him a lot since then, he's always been good, then sure. But the idea that he just got on a trailer one time or twice, I mean, sometimes that's just getting lucky. The other thing is you don't know with something like that, did that really stick? And is that going to work when you trying to use maybe a trailer that's a little bit scarier, or maybe that was during the day, but you need to load your horse up to go to the vet in an emergency situation at night? They're probably going to have a little different take on that. So I think you want to work with it until it's just rock solid. Your horse loads, no questions asked. A lot of times I'll hear somebody say like, my horse loads pretty good. It usually only takes me 5 or 10 minutes to get him on. Well, if it takes you 5 or 10 minutes to get him on a good day, then when things are going bad or you're in a bit of a rush, then I'm going to probably guess that it's going to take you longer or you're going to have a bigger problem then. So I think not making trailer loading, not spending enough time on it, not getting it solid enough is probably one of the biggest things that I notice.
And you know what? We've all had the situation, if you've done this long enough, that you're going to have the situation that one day, for some reason, whatever horse it was, just doesn't want to get on the trailer. We all run into it. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget, we bought this Percheron at an auction in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It was a Percheron auction. There were several hundred there. And we bought this 18-month-old Percheron, brought it out to get it on the trailer. And, he's a big 18-month-old, right? And he just didn't want to get on the trailer. And we were being patient and all of that. Amishman comes up and says, give me the horse, walks him right on the trailer. So, there are those days too, where it's like...
There are. One thing I would add on to that, though, a lot of people approach trailer loading like it's going to be a problem, and then the horse really feeds off that. So usually, this is not all the time, but a lot of times when I watch somebody that's having trouble, they'll walk up like they're about to ask the horse to walk into a cage of tigers, and they give them a ton of time, and the horse is looking off in the trees in the distance and not focused on the job or anything like that. And a lot of times when someone else comes along that's a little bit more deliberate and they're like, hey, here's your job, hop on the trailer. Just that alone doesn't make it work every time, but it sure increases the chances of it going well.
And that was our first Percheron ever, so that could have been the case. You might have nailed it there. Because
the problem with you, Glenn, I mean, obviously.
That horse turned out to be 18 and a half hands at about 2,300 pounds, too. It was a big horse. Didn't fit in the trailer after that was what happened.
I was going to say, what did you do after
we had to get, we basically upgraded to a thoroughbred, really tall trailer. And that's what we had to do because we couldn't get him in. He just wouldn't fit. He just was so big. And he took up 2.5 spots. I mean, he was a big boy. Yeah.
You should have been buying a tractor trailer.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I still, Percherons are still my favorite breed, though. They are the kindest, gentlest horses ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're very nice. I like them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jason, we're, like I mentioned at the top of the show, we're super excited because you and Bronwyn are coming back to Mass this fall. Are you anything you're really excited about coming back?
Well, heck, the trailer loading clinic.
Good answer.
Yeah. No, I always have a great time at Equine Affaire. We just have so much fun, and the folks there are always so nice and everything. So we're just really looking forward to it. And it's fun for me too, because like you said, I'm presenting, but my wife is as well. So we're doing our own individual clinics, but we tend to work together quite a bit when we go to an event too. So it's always a pretty good time.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that when you were with us last in 2023, you won our Exceptional Equestrian Educator Award. So congratulations again on that.
Well, thank you very much. I felt a little bit silly, I'm going to be honest, though, when I won it, because I was sitting in the stands and didn't know I was going to win. And then they called my name, and I was wearing a winter coat. So I got up, went to take it off. The sleeves got stuck behind my back, and I tripped myself going down the stairs. So I almost wiped out in front of everyone. So I was like, it was really a graceful way to start the process of getting the award.
I hope you never win an Emmy or anything, because that would be bad.
Yeah, I'll be the person that like falls off the stage or something like that.
Oh,
and
Lord.
You and Jennifer Lawrence will be there crashing off the steps.
Yeah. I tell you what, if I get that far that I win an Emmy, I'm not going to be very concerned what happens once I get that.
Nope.
That's true.
Oh, geez. Well, I didn't remember that, but now everyone will remember that. So great.
Yeah.
Great way to tell on your
We're so proud of you, Jason.
We are.
Thank you. I'm glad I brought it up.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's always good to end with a laugh, and we will see you at Equine Affaire.
Oh, sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Well, thank you again, Allison, for putting another show together with a couple of my favorite people out there. To you, tickets are now available. Where do people go to get them for Massachusetts in November?
They can go to equineaffaire.com and select our Massachusetts event, or they can download the Western Edge app and get them through the app. Easy peasy.
And of course, you can find all the past episodes of the Equine Affaire podcast. It has its own separate podcast feed in addition to being on Horses in the Morning. If you just search for Equine Affaire on your podcast player of choice, it'll pop up and you can go back and listen to all the past episodes we have done. We've had a ton of terrific guests on this show, so you definitely want to check that out. Also, tomorrow, Jamie and I will be back with another episode of Horses in the Morning. Of course, it's Really Bad Ads Day, so get your ads in to Jennifer@horseradionetwork.com, and we might read one of them on the show tomorrow. Well, Allison, it's equineaffaire.com. Thank you again for putting this together.
Thank you, and we'll see you all at Equine Affaire.